Jai, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this episode 3 of Project Sunrise. Project Sunrise was started with an objective of enhancing the personal architecture of all the individuals, whether they are a youth, as a student, or as a working professional, or at any given point of time. And with this, I have designed 100 such modules that I'm going to upload in YouTube. And this is from a perspective of a professional who has spent 10 years into the industry as a working professional and, of course, a student life. Having said that, today's episode is going to talk about a very rare word that plays a pivotal role, and it is the least pronounced in our day-to-day life. In fact, we quietly, pronounce the most opposite part of this, which is also a complementary part of that particular word. The word is competence. In our school, in our college, in our work life, in our, the corporate landscape, we always talk about competition. However, competition is the superlative factor, and that begins with competence. Now, I'm not going to give you a prime lecture over here on what can competence do or what is competence, but I'll just give you a brief rundown that precisely how it is important to have that in our day-to-day life and what are the areas that it can impact. If you are not doing that currently, I'm going to leave you with a framework that goes by the abbreviation as C.O.R.E. Choose one area. I'll tell you the remaining three elements of the framework by the end of the video. And this is how the video is going to be. So I've set the objective that it is going to be about the word competence. Now let's understand one thing. Growing up in a school, college, we have always been taught about competition, be the best, be the best, be the best. But what about becoming the best version? Where does that go? Tell me something. How many of us are living by the choices of our own than by the choices of somebody else, be it in terms of career trajectory, be it in terms of your aspirations, etc. Now, to set the definition forward, competence would be doing activities that are contributing to your skill set on a day-to-day basis. And that particular thing plays a pivotal role in your charisma. You may confuse how is charisma related to this word. I'll give you a rundown at different levels. If you're a student, being a student is just not about covering the subject matters that you have in your syllabus. At a given point of time, when you go for the competitive examinations, that is IIT, JEE, or at any level, GRE, GMAT, anything with that, what matters is your core competence with respect to the aptitude. Okay, that comes when you have something in your day-to-day curriculum that is developing that skill set. For a working professional, we come through various careers, okay? Like somebody may be in sales, somebody may be in marketing, somebody may be in different things. But the core fundamentals of the job is the most ignored. And what happens? Because of this, you are not able to articulate whenever there is an interview or whenever there is a good introduction. People who focus on this use this as a golden opportunity for their personal branding. Okay? So competence is that particular part of your lifestyle that has no start date and no end date because it has to be imbibed within you as a way of living. Now, competence can be something that you do something better for yourself, or you have an aspiration and you keep working towards it. But what differentiates the top 1% and the others? Do you think that all efforts translate into results? Do you really think that all efforts translate into positive results? The answer is obviously dicey. But competence, when done with a religious faith, like committing 30 minutes a day of, some sort of quantitative aptitude preparation, whether you're working or you're a student, or 30 minutes of fitness into day-to-day life, or 30 minutes of something, or deep work without distractions into something, or 30 minutes of revisiting your fundamentals. Let's say you have been a call center employee. Then within a call center, what is the nature of business that you have covered? Reading that again and again, again and again, again and again on a day-to-day basis puts that thing into your muscle memory. It puts that thing into your blood. And this confidence reflects when you go for an interview. The best part of competence is that it always keeps you grounded. Whenever you have an aspiration, you will always notice, let's say you are aspiring towards a particular examination, you are aspiring towards a particular job, you're aspiring towards something. But when you don't meet that, there is always a disappointment. There is always that feeling of emptiness, that void. I couldn't make it. Somebody may be lucky. I'm not lucky. Competence takes that away because competence brings in embracing a level of boredom. You embrace monotony as a way of life. You embrace the fact that whether the conditions are good or whether the conditions are bad, whether the conditions are conducive or regressive, you will commit to that particular activity day in and day out without question and without offset buts. That is precisely what is competence. Now understand from a scenario perspective. Let's say any of us are into a chaotic situation, and we all come across chaotic situations, whether at our workplace or within our families. Okay, in a joint family, let's say there is a marriage occasion and there is some sort of thing that is going south, like maybe the vendors are not reaching on time or something like that. We always have that one person who everybody looks up to, right? Okay, इनको बोल दो, tell it to them and they will be doing it. That particular relative or that particular colleague in your office, you have something about Excel, okay, you just refer to that person. You have something about SAP or something like that, go to that person, they'll do it. They'll help you. Whenever the crisis hits, whenever the chaos hits, people always reflect to that person. Why do you think that happens? That didn't come from competition. That comes from a factor of trust. And that trust is developed when competence is shown. The particular person has shown the level of maturity and grit to execute similar or such level of task that it has earned the trust. And where there is trust, there is influence. So I hope you get the entire philosophy of how things build. See, influence may not always translate into the number of followers that you have or may not into the number of subscribers that you have. But within the sphere of influence, within the sphere of audience that you're there, if you're able to put your message across correctly and the message being understood 100% and somebody executes that, that is the perfect influence made. So you see, this is the role of competence. Having said that, competence and competition both are important, but competence needs to be talked about. So the question may remain that for a 30-year-old, for a 20-year-old, for a 40-year-old, for a 50-year-old, what can be done? So the first thing that you may begin with identifying is your physical fitness and your mental fitness. I mean, that's one area that I like to segregate out and sort it out. So let's say when it comes in the terms of physical fitness, okay, could it be that you are committing to 30 minutes of physical activity just between the walls of your room, just after the dinner, or maybe 30 minutes of that activity, 30 minutes of squats or push-up or something like that, just 30 minutes involvement into that, or maybe reading an article about that, 30 minutes of something like that. When it comes to mental fitness, so mental fitness, the definitions and the activities can differ. Now, I'm not saying that you need to incorporate both as a way of life daily. It is not really possible. We just have 24 hours and there is a lot to be done. And more than to be done, we have a lot of things to be undone, especially because everybody is in a momentum of residual fatigue. When I say residual fatigue is all the things that have happened throughout the day, the momentum of the fatigue carries on. We are not mindfully present wherever we are supposed to be, right? So that being said, mental fitness can involve activities around solving Sudoku, could be solving around, one or two questions of quant. There are a lot of books of mathematics, there are a lot of platforms where there are free aptitude tests. At any given age, at any given point, one can always practice that just once in a week or maybe once in a month just to keep the brain healthy, because cognitive degeneration is something that is very serious. Take it for consideration that the kind of learning retention that we used to have maybe 10-15 years ago and the kind of learning retention that we have right now, are they similar? Have they dropped? Think about that. Continuing further, when it comes to the framework that I was talking about, the core framework, okay? So C goes for choose one particular area. Now, for any working professional, that one particular area can be like for me, like as of now, like I am looking into the different aspects of AI automation or, integrating AI automation with project management software. So for me, it is equally important to, revisit the fundamentals of the kind of project management, the definitions like scope, schedule, measurement of a lot of things. And again, incorporate that into kind of video watching videos where somebody is operating over a particular project management software. And when I watch that, after that, I have to go and execute. So this is maybe something that is similar, that is resonating to all other working professionals. So choose one particular area. For students, it could not be limited to a subject matter. It could be the strength of articulation. You are not able to articulate yourself properly. You're not able to write something properly. So begin with that. Write something, maybe looking at something, that's called dictation. If somebody is there with you, they can give you a dictation, or just, watch something and then write it, slow writing, then read it loud. That can help you articulate, maybe 10 minutes a particular day. Okay. So that is the level of competence that you're going to build. That's also skill. Subject matter is a part of your skill, but these are also skills that complement, that will amplify whatever you know, right? And that being said, it can again go back to different levels. But remember one thing, do choose those areas that you can say that, okay, this is going to be a part of my life. Like maybe reading about finance news, reading about tech news. That's also competence. You will have a greater level of technical depth of gadgets, if it is about the finance news, then it is about the investors and PE, VC, the private equity, venture capitalists and all that, if you're willing to follow that. So choose one that specific particular area, and that should be, that particular area should be that which you are ready to commit on a day-to-day or on a week-on-week basis. It should be a part of your lifestyle. Choose those areas and map it to how it can amplify you. Okay, so that is one. So that's for C. Then comes O. O is output over the week. Now, week on week, I wanted to keep a log. That's called competence log. In the world of project management, we keep, repositories or called registers. Like, for example, if I have to manage stakeholders, there are 10 stakeholders into a particular project, then I'll put them in a stakeholder register and have the communication plan over there. Something similar is with the risk management. I'll have a risk register. So these are all the names of the repositories. So what you can do is, you can start having a competence log. Okay. So there you can log, okay, what was that one particular area you decided? Could be like following the different kinds of tech news, different kinds of finance news, or something, whatever is good for you, cinematography, whatever you want to, bring it out. Okay. And put a log and a register. What was the achievements on that aspect? What are the areas you could stretch? Remember that those areas need to be revisited. Okay. And then move to the next particular week. So over a year, you will have 52 weeks of, competence log. For example, my YouTube, this particular project Sunrise is of 100 videos. Now it is, projected to have 2 videos per week. So it should cover the entire year, like around 104 videos over the entire year. It will come up with the best kind of knowledge that I already have, or with my experience, and deliver the best possible interactions to the audience. So like that way, this is how you design the competence log. Okay. R is reviewing without apology. Now, when I say reviewing without apology, don't keep your ego over here. That, okay, it's actually good that I did it. No. Be critical. Are you really that cognitively, enduring that, okay, you have just touched 1% of the task? Could you have done more? If the answer is yes, get into the habit of doing more, because every effort is going to compound. Okay, so you will observe the differences. Like once you start reading the tech news, let's say for every day starting from tomorrow, you are going to observe 10 to 15 different types of news on tech gadgets. Okay, so over the week or over the 2 weeks, you will find the gravity of your confidence in the way you speak. You're going to speak facts. You're going to speak with confidence. You're going to speak with composure. You will not mess around, arguing with people. These are the greater traits of people who are really competent. They know the subject matter great, and they know that they need not be loud about that. So, review without apology. So if you're wrong, if you have missed particular areas, okay, fine, you have missed it. Have an answerable explanation for that. Like probably some weekends are very slow. We are really fatigued and we just like to rest around. That's absolutely fine. Pick it up the next one. But keep that habit, even if it is one, move by one. But when you have identified that, okay, you have moved by just one, review it the way it is, rather than, adding an emotional reaction to it. I have done great or I have not done good. Cut that crap. Okay, review it without apology. That's how it matters. So that's R. C is for choose winning one area. O is for output weekly. R is for review without apology. And E, the most important, extend the difficulty level. Now, understand one thing. Human body is something that is, adaptable to the kind of load that we give. Okay. So rotation of load must also be there. So let's say for a particular quarter. So you need not increment it on a week on week basis, because otherwise what will happen? There is always going to be an upper limit and then you will feel bad. So do a slow incremental and iterative process. What is iterations? Repetitions. And incremental is increasing the load. So now extend the difficulty. That is the extension of the word E. So over here, what you can do is map for a quarter, map for a month. Let's say you could do 3 particular things that you were good at, and then extend it by one more, just one more, like that. So in this, what is happening? You are getting into the momentum of pushing against the road, because wherever you will go, if you are a student today, if you go to a workplace tomorrow, wherever you're going to go, you will find this fact that your metrics are going to increase by 10%, by 15%, by 20%, and so and so. So that thing is going to be there by default. Okay, so this would keep you in the habit of progressive loading. This is also a similar and important concept in fitness, that is progressive overload, interval training, progressive overloading, and this is how it works at the mental level as well. Works at everywhere. Even all the metrics of all the industries, when they have it for the workforce, they will do it with this process, incrementally. They'll just not put 100% like that, nothing like that. So with this, I would like to conclude this particular episode, number 3 of Project Sunrise. I hope this makes a significant difference. With each subsequent videos, we are going to level up. Please watch the other 2 videos of Project Sunrise. And sit with pen and paper if you have. Please feel free to reach out in comment section about any kind of improvements, any kind of suggestions that you have, any kind of expectations of ideas or thoughts that you want me to touch base upon. And with this, I'll take a leave. Jai Hind, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great evening.